Man, the rumors, they are a swirling. I mean, raise your hands if you have not seen a good rumor regarding the successor to the Nintendo Switch, because they are all over the place. Whether we're talking about our favorite Nintendo YouTuber, I'm looking at you, Sean, over at RGT85, or just random posts on the internet, they are all over the place right now. Well, earlier today, some renders and some photos were leaked online, and a lot of people initially thought that they were real. The more I look at them, I don't know, but I figured let's take a look, because one of the things that I feel like I've got a unique perspective on is I've done a lot of 3D design and CAD work, especially in recent years, with my 3D printing. So let's take a look at what these are and kind of bunk or debunk or rebunk, or are these bunk? Let's take a look. All right, so this was leaked or shared by Andy Robinson over at Andy underscore VGC, where you can go ahead and you can follow him. There's all of his information on screen. I'll have him linked down below. So looking at this, I'm like, man, this looks really, really good. And it's low resolution just because it's blown up. So the original on my screen here looks really good. But the more I look at this, man, it's too same for me. I mean, a lot of us expected the Nintendo Switch 2 to look a lot like the original Nintendo Switch or the Switch OLED. But this looks exactly like a Nintendo Switch OLED. I mean, button placements are the same. The one thing I can say a little bit here is looking at, the notches. If you can see my cursor there, and here, they are a little bit less pronounced than here and here. But overall, man, that looks a heck of a lot like an original Nintendo Switch. Now, this is one of the first photos I saw that are supposedly of the new Joy-Cons. And the one thing that I'm looking at here, look at your trigger position right here. You've got a slot there and a slot there versus where the triggers are located here and here. So the triggers are located in a different spot. Above and beyond that, the connectors look to be slightly different. Instead of using the exact same rail mechanism that the originals did, it has, if you look at inside here, you've got like this, I'm not sure if that's a PCB or what that is, where it's going to connect to the side of the Switch. So instead of having your contacts be in the rail, they could be right there instead. So that's one of those of maybe it's legit. Kind of looking through here to the next image. This is another render of the back, and this shares that Joy-Con ZR and ZL placement where it's more in the back in this area, and even the hump around here looks slightly different, where it looks like they've moved that trigger out from here, made this more of a solid piece. Or actually, now that I look at it, this trigger is still there. It's the front trigger that's changed. You can see the contour right here of the back trigger here. So I'm wondering if that's going to be L and R, and what we're seeing there will be ZL and ZR, or will we still have L, R, ZL, ZR, and that's another trigger position, kind of like a back paddle. One of those things, I just noticed that now as I'm sharing my thoughts with all of you. Looking at this next one, same thing, just of the, this would be the right Joy-Con versus this one here is the left Joy-Con. So very similar, just a mirrored design as you would expect. I can't actually, if you look at this one, that has your trigger up top too. So L, ZL, I'm sorry, I guess that would be R, ZR, and then a third trigger button there on the back. So definitely interesting concept there. Now, in addition to that, so here we have a couple of more kickstand and everything. This to me looks exactly like a Nintendo Switch OLED, except for that trigger position again. You've got the L, R, ZL, ZR, and I know I'm mixing them up here. You understand where I'm going here. That you've got LR, LR, ZL, ZR, and then whatever those other triggers here on the inside. Kickstand looks to be in the exact same spot. USB-C port looks to be in the exact same spot too, so that's interesting to note. Here's a look at the top, and to me, this is the best look yet, and I actually hadn't seen this one yet. That does confirm we do have LNR, so LR, they do look bigger, so that is interesting of note that they do look slightly larger. Cartridge slot looks to be in the exact same spot right here. You do also have your vents in the same spot, but they look to be elongated over what the current Switch OLED has. You still have a headphone jack up top right about here, and it's curious because it also looks like there's a USB-C port right here. So what is that for? Now that more closely mimics what a Steam Deck uses, because that has the USB-C port up top. The Switch and the Switch OLED does not have that, neither does the Switch Lite. And then down here you do have your volume up, volume down, and what looks to be your power buttons. Looking at the bottom here as well, looks pretty same to what the original Switch or the Switch OLED was too, so nothing significant to talk about on this one. Now this is the interesting one here too, is the fact that it looks like the display is much larger than what the Switch OLED is. The bezels on the side look to be very similar in size. Top and bottom actually look a little bit bigger to me. If this is supposed to be the Switch OLED, that's definitely a thicker top and bottom bezel. Now, is that LCD versus OLED? I don't know. I would think it would be a mistake at this point to go backwards to LCD from OLED. I think anyone would be disappointed in that out of the gate. Here's a look at the back, and this bottom one definitely looks like an original Nintendo Switch based on the kickstand placement right there, where this has more of, I call it the Microsoft Surface sort of kickstand that we have on the back here. So, and I do love that kickstand. Now, one thing, it does look like it's a little bit taller than what the original one here is on the Switch OLED. Not by much, but a couple millimeters at least. As you can see me struggling with it, I'd really like if it's easier to pop out than what the OLED one was. But overall, very clean, very basic design. It's the back of a tablet, basically. And then looking here at a render of the right Joy-Con, you can see your ABXY, your joystick, and your home button. And then it's interesting. Looks like that has a capture button there too. So home and capture along with the plus, where the capture button was on the left Joy-Con on the original. And this looks like it's got a home button as well, or a capture button as well. So I'm not quite sure what this button here is, unless, it'd be really cool is if you could map for turbo and whatnot stock. That'd be pretty awesome. That'd be pretty slick. Now, finally, this is the image I want to talk about, because this is actual physical goods. This isn't a mock-up. This isn't a render. This is something that's been produced, and it has convincing elements to it, but it also has elements that I'm like, huh? First and foremost, looking on this PCB, I don't see Nintendo's name anywhere on it, so that makes me wonder if that is something that is legit or not. Now, one thing I just noticed here too is this does have that corresponding second hole on the bottom of the Joy-Con, so whatever that is, that is not just a standard Joy-Con mock-up right there. It also looks like the home button is a little bit closer to the analog stick hole, and then the secondary square is a little bit further down. So interesting to see that. I'm surprised at the scuff marks on this one particularly. If it's injection molded, you would have a release agent that would help you pop that out of the mold. I don't think this is 3D printed, I'll tell you that much, because I'm not seeing layer lines in this. Now, it could be something someone has photoshopped and is using an extremely low layer height. And what that means is the lower the layer height, the tighter the layers are, the smoother the surface would look. You can also utilize a 3D printing method called ironing, and it basically gives it a smoother top or bottom layer. Generally, it's the top layer. I don't think that is 3D printed. Looking at the minus button hole there, that looks kind of tight, but not like obscenely so. I don't think that it's unreasonable to think that that could indeed be real real hardware or a real injection molded piece. This here looks to be where the battery is going to sit. You have your wire coming in that would basically lock into or sync with the Joy-Con, and the position here lines up with what we have here. Interesting too, I'm going to pop out my Joy-Con that I have here. So on this Joy-Con, the original Joy-Cons, the LEDs are in this part. So I'll hit it, you can kind of see them cycling there. If you look here, your LEDs are right here, so that's another definite change. So is it one of those that when that Joy-Con goes into whatever that is, it actually goes into almost like a shroud? And kind of looking at this component here, you can kind of see the two-tone plastic, and that's actually not uncommon with injection molded plastic that's been painted, or if it's, if this is one piece and that's a secondary. Now that looks like one solid piece to me. Well, no, because you've got this support that goes around that boss there. So at least part of this is a secondary piece. So I'm not sure, but I have seen stuff like this in the past where you have that two-tone type plastic here. But looking at this, you've got a few millimeters from that point to this point that looks like this would nest inside of. So maybe it doesn't slide into rails as much as it just clicks into rails. And that would lead to more discussion of the rumors of them being magnetically held into place. I'm hoping if that's the case, and it looks like there's perhaps magnets right there. Can't quite tell. That looks no, that could be a magnet. So I'm not quite sure if that's a magnet or not. Coming back to this, the piece that makes me think you're good looking, but I'm not convinced, is the rumors that I have seen and heard that talk about Nintendo potentially bringing back the dual screen concept from the 3DS, 2DS, where you have a top and a bottom screen. They'll provide a layer of protection to your top screen here so that when it's closed, you don't have to worry about nicks and scratches and things like that. I don't know. I will say this is a damn good looking render. It's potentially the legit thing, but at the same time, there's enough here to make me kind of think maybe not. Let's kind of look at it this way. I want to believe this is something I like the looks, I like the design, I like the philosophy that they've gone with this system here, or this mock-up. I would not be disappointed if this was the Switch 2. Looks like a nice, maybe at least an 8-inch display. That'd be really, really nice. Part of me likes but doesn't like the way that these Joy-Cons snap into the side versus sliding to the rail. See, one of my complaints on the original Switch, we're going to go full screen here for you. So like I was saying, one of my complaints on this design is there is some flex and give to this Joy-Con mount mechanism. It's not much, but it is there. It's better, in my opinion, on the OLED than the original. It's non-existent on the Switch Lite because it's all one unit. You don't disconnect the Joy-Cons. My concern with that mock-up is, are the magnets strong enough to completely eliminate that flexing? Because that's what I want from an industrial design standpoint for whatever the new Switch is. Do I need dual screen? No, I will say I don't. I would be more than happy if, I will be more than happy, should I say, if what we get is this, just more powerful, because quite honestly, this works. I mean, if you look at the Stream Deck and the ROG Ally and a lot of the other designs, it's basically a variation of this with either, both analog sticks up high or, a little bit thicker, a little touchpad, things along those lines. This design just works, and I don't think Nintendo needs to reinvent things. Now, I think if they go with a name like Switch 2, over Super Switch. Now, me personally, I would love, now you're playing with power, Nintendo Super Switch power. I would love to see them bring that back. I don't think we're going to see that. I think they have learned from the Wii to the Wii U that they need to have something that inspires that, kind of like the Xbox Series S and X and 1X, 1S, although I hate Series and 1 and so on. But you had the Xbox, the 360, the One. And while it didn't make a whole lot of sense, you knew that they were all in the same family, that they were related to each other, that, it would have similar experiences. I think if they just call this the Switch 2, okay. I have no real objections to that. I don't know that they need to get that original and cutesy with it. Now, with the Wii to the Wii U, because the system looks so similar, at least the core, not the Wii U gamepad, but the system itself looked very similar to the original, so a lot of people didn't understand that, yes, it was a different system. I have concerns about this. However, they have had variants of a Switch for 7+ years now. You have the Switch OLED, the Switch Lite, each one a variation on a theme. I think this could do well. I think, too, we've had some rumors about power on this, that it's going to be, better than a PlayStation 4, but not quite PlayStation 4 Pro. You know what? I'm good with that. I am very good with that. I will admit I have not heard 4K versus 1080p. If it's 1080p in a handheld, terrific. If it's 1080p in docked mode, I'll be a little bit bummed, but okay, just keep the prices of my games down. I'll be okay with that because, quite honestly, at 1080p, existing Nintendo Switch games look great. I'm happy with that. Give me a good constant frame rate. Give me something that plays consistently, and I'll be happy. Above and beyond that, I want to believe. This is something that I think this is a clean design that acknowledges the legacy that it is building upon, and I think it does just that. It builds upon the legacy of the original Nintendo Switch. As long as we've got, I think, honestly, I'd like PS4 Pro power, Xbox Series S power with 4K. That's really kind of my wish list. Give me enough RAM that I can go ahead and get through applications more quickly. If you've used the Nintendo Switch eShop lately, that thing is so slow to go through. I hate going through the Switch eShop because it takes so long to load everything that's in there. That's one of the things that really sucks. Give me more onboard memory too. Give me at least 256 gigs of onboard storage. Honestly, give me a terabyte. Onboard storage is so inexpensive at this point. Give me a terabyte onboard storage at $400. If you do that, Nintendo, shut up and take my money. It's one of those things that I will be a early adopter and I will hop on board. And I'll admit, I don't even need backwards compatibility because I am not planning on getting rid of my Nintendo Switch because I love this system. It is so good. And I think this has the potential, especially seeing with what Xbox has done with their 2 terabyte Xbox Series X, that's all digital, no disk drive, no option for a disk drive, and with the PlayStation 5 Pro, that doesn't include a disk drive, that's an $80 add-on, it doesn't include a vertical stand. As long as Nintendo keeps this fun and makes it so that it is seen as a worthwhile upgrade and investment, I think this will do very well. The concern that I have is, so for example, going from the Game Boy Advance to the Game Boy Advance SP, this was enough of an enhancement and a mid-cycle life upgrade made this worthwhile. Going from the Wii to the Wii U, maybe not so much. Going from the PS5 to the PS5 Pro, definitely not so much for me. Going from the 3DS to the new 3DS. There was, 2 or 3 games that utilized that extra couple features that the new 3DS had? Not worth it. They need to make this worthwhile to upgrade and keep it reasonably priced. And it's one of those things, Nintendo and forever and a day, they have sold their consoles at a profit. So I think they'll be able, with what they've done with NVIDIA for years and years, with their upscaling services and whatnot that they provide, I think they could have another home run, and they could see success very similar to from the 8-bit to the 16-bit era, where the NES and the Super NES were just hit upon hit upon hit. I think they could do something very similar with the Switch and the Switch 2. But these are just my opinions and my analysis. Let me know what you think down below in the comments section. Like I say, I want to believe. Now, we will be covering more Nintendo Switch 2 news when they do make it official, when we've got release dates, and my intention is to buy one when it is available. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. That way you are kept informed and up to date when we do have more information to share. And if you want to check out more information on the Nintendo Switch, we have a whole dedicated playlist right up there. Go ahead and check it out. We've got a ton of different videos, several hundred, covering the Nintendo Switch. I'm sure you'll find something here you're going to love.